Jules Montagnier Incorporated, makers of fine cosmetics, makers of Stopette, America's #1 spray deodorant. The deodorant in the famous flexi-plastic bottle. The deodorant whose delightful ease of application has changed the nation's habits. The deodorant you apply like this. Poof. There goes perspiration. Now I invite you to play television's gayest game, What's My Line? Take a good look at this woman. If you saw her in a shoe store, would you be able to tell what she does for a living? Is she a truant officer? A woman scientist? A blues singer? What would you say if she turned to you and asked,
What's my line?
Yes, it's What's My Line, where the experts are asked to guess the occupations of real people. And now let's meet our lineup of well-known personalities whose lines you probably already know. First, the well-known Broadway columnist of the New York Journal-American, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the noted American poet and anthologist, Mr. Louis Untermeyer.
And seated next to me, as usual, I'm happy to say, that fine actress, Arlene Francis.
Why? And on my left, our guest panelist tonight, the famous publisher and columnist, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
And on my left is the famous news analyst and the moderator and master of ceremonies of this program, Mr. John Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stopette. Once again tonight, we're going to put our cameras close up on a few people from some varied and perhaps unexpected occupations, all of them here to give our members on the panel a run for the money which they hope to take home with them as prize money. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a little bit later in the show. But now to start things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they will have to spot. So will you sign in, please, sir? Fred Martini, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Martini, first of all, tell us where you live.
Well, I live in the Bronx.
In the Bronx?
Yes, sir.
Well, most of these people over here are from New York, but don't hold it against them. However, they want to take a closer look at you. So will you walk over there in front of the panel for me?
Hello, Mr. Martini. Wait a minute. Would you come back here just a second?
Sure.
Would you do something for me?
I sure will.
Would you turn halfway around, let me see you do a knee bend?
Halfway around and do a knee bend?
Turn halfway around, do half a knee bend, if that's easier. Uh-huh.
Oh, he's religious.
Sort of a genuflecting knee bend. Thank you very much, Mr. Martini.
Well, indeed.
All right, Mr. Martini, I think the panel's had a close enough look at you. You come on over here and sit down next to me, if you will. And on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, and the close look they've had at your knees, and the rest of you, we're going to give the panel one wild, free, and happy guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin the wild guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a carpenter.
You think he's a carpenter, Mr. Untermeyer?
I think his name is a disguise. I think Martini is a Manhattan mixer.
Miss Francis.
Well, I'm going to stay with the clergy on that genuflect someplace along the line.
All right, Mr. Cerf.
I think Mr. Martini's a police inspector, one of the new ones.
No television man he, huh? No, I'm afraid you're all wrong, and now we're going to let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mr. Martini, and at the same time, panel, we shall tell them what his line is. But you, as usual, are going to have to fight for the facts. You know what the rules are. You ask questions in turn to be answered yes or no. Each no answer costs the panel $5. We keep a record of it right up here. 10 no's, and you've lost the game. Now, we're going to give you one more bit of help. Mr. Martini is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Untermeyer.
Do you work for a profit-making organization, Mr. Martini?
No.
One down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Yes.
Are you in education in any way?
In a way.
In a way, yes, that's right.
And it's kind of a hilarious way. Well, may I suppose that you have pupils?
In a way.
Half-witted, obviously. Does your work with these in-a-way pupils fit them for better living?
In a way.
Yeah, I would say so. When he gets through with them...
Does he have a job in a way?
Yeah, he's got a job in a way.
Do you touch these pupils? In a way.
Yes, I do.
Is your work in any way advisory? In a
No.
way? Oh, not in a way.
No,
What a relief.
no, we're
I'm
going to
glad
take
I
a no.
lost it.
2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Martini, are your pupils men exclusively? No.
3 down and 7 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Are your pupils living?
Yes, definitely.
Are they creatures which have more than 2 legs?
4 down and 6 to go. Mr. Untermeyer.
I gather now they are two-legged creatures in a way, two-legged.
You may assume what you please, Mr. Untermeyer.
I assume
Carry
that
on.
they are two-legged creatures, and that in a way he helps them, improves them. Are they fleshy creatures?
Yes, definitely.
Do they ever get more than, I shouldn't say, very
I
fleshy?
think we can let that stand. We had a little problem, and we think we'll let that last yes stand. It might be a little confusing, so I wouldn't put too
They
much
have
store.
flesh on them, I mean.
Well, let us say that they're bulky. Go on from
They're
there.
bulky. Does he, because they are ever maybe too bulky, does he ever put them in a steam bath?
Never.
5 down and 5
May we
to
have a
go.
conference?
Yes, you may have 20
Arlene,
seconds
let's
for a
find out
conference.
what
They're
they
human
are,
beings.
for heaven's sake.
Let's find out if they're human beings and if
Yes.
they're children, maybe.
Children's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Well, at least if they're human.
I
they
mean,
sound
they'll
awfully
be
odd.
children in a way, I feel sure about.
Charles Adams' children.
Are your pupils children?
No.
6 down
That
and
was
4 to
pretty
go,
short, too,
Mr.
wasn't
Cerf.
Are your pupils human beings? No.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are your pupils members of the animal kingdom, broadly speaking?
Yes.
They couldn't be fish.
Please think out loud, Miss Kilgallen. We missed that one.
She said they couldn't be fish. I don't know why they couldn't.
Well, you say they are not generally more than two-legged. Do they have legs at all?
He hasn't looked down that far.
It's technical, isn't it? Well, you're the expert. You give the answer, because I'm not an expert.
Well, they're not called legs.
Would you
They're
like to
what?
withdraw
What did he
that
say?
question?
They're
They're
not
not called legs.
Oh. Are these things, do you want a conference?
I have a
Larry?
hunch.
Yes.
Something like mammals, let's say, as apart from other kinds of...
What do you mean,
Well,
like
what
a
if they
snake?
were microscopic?
There's been no request for a consultation panel. Go
Well,
ahead,
there
Miss
was.
Kilgallen.
I asked Louis if he wanted one.
Leave me out.
I'm the one who says when it's ready to go ahead.
All
Miss
right,
Kilgallen.
I'll throw this one away. Are your creatures, whatever they are, could they be seen under a microscope?
Would you rephrase the question?
I'll just re-question.
All right, you re-question. That's a little bit difficult because, let us say, a portion of them might be put under a microscope.
Could you hold these things in your hand?
No.
8 down and 2 to go.
They're
Mr.
big.
Untermeyer.
Could you hold them in your lap?
Yes.
Are they pets?
Not as we use the term pets. 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
These animals that have something like legs, are they ever in museums?
Yes.
Are they an unusual animal?
Too unusual.
I don't think, not in the sense of being
I mean, but they're
unusual.
not in everybody's home.
They're not. Well, all right, on that basis, you go ahead, Miss Francis.
Would they be animals, thank you, would they be animals that you might see in a zoo?
Yes.
Are they mammals?
Yes.
Maybe it's a whale.
No, wait a minute. What about
Would you like to have a consultation?
Oh, that's it.
Conference?
I know
What?
what it is.
What?
He's got it. We had our conference. I got the answer from Bennett, I think. Are you a SEAL trainer?
It's a program for flappers.
Is that fun, training SEALs?
Oh,
Very much so.
I was tempted all through it, Arlene, to give you this, but
I still object. I still think that they are pets. I've often wanted to have a seal in the bedroom.
The kind of
on your
defense you keep,
letterhead.
Mr. Untermeyer, your business. But I must say congratulations to the panel, and congratulations to you, too, sir. You did very well with the prizes, and thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. All right, panel, now let's see what you can do with our second challenger. So will you come and sign in, please, ma'am? Alice Matthews, is that right? Fine. Is it Miss or Mrs.? Miss Matthews. Well, Miss Matthews, tell us first of all where you live.
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. Well, I got a panel over here. You've come a long way to see them, and they want to see you. So would you mind walking over in front of the panel?
May I shake hands with you, Miss Matthews?
This is how he makes friends and influences people.
Read any good books lately?
Anything you want to say?
Could I see a ring, please?
Rings?
Rings, 2 rings. Yes, that's very interesting.
All right,
Thank
Miss
you very
Matthews,
much.
you come on over here and sit down next to me. They've
There are
had
2
a long
rings, and
enough
neither
look
one
at
of
you.
them.
And on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, the rings you have on your fingers, and the good close look they've had at you, we give them one wild, free, and happy guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the wild guesses as usual with Miss Kilgallen.
Well, inasmuch as she's wearing 2 engagement rings, but no wedding ring, I would say she was always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Mr. Untermeyer.
I was going along the line that she was a professional correspondent.
A professional correspondent. Miss Francis?
I think she's a department store buyer.
A department store buyer. Very good answer. Mr. Cerf?
I think she's the principal of a school.
Principal of a school. No, I'm afraid you're
Wish
wrong.
you'd gone there.
So now we're going to let our viewers at home have a really close look at Miss Matthews, and at the same time, panel, of course, we shall tell our viewers what Miss Matthews' line is. You've got to have to dig for facts as usual, ask questions in turn, to be yes or no answers. No answers cost you $5. We keep a record of it right up here, and when there are 10 no answers, each at $5, then you have lost the game. We give you one more bit of help. Miss Matthews is salaried. With that, we begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
Is it a private organization?
Yes.
Is it what would be considered business?
Yes.
Do you come in contact with the public in this work?
That's difficult to answer because she comes in contact with the public in the sense that she will meet people, as we all invariably do. If you mean it in the general sense of large bodies of the public, we'd have to answer the question no. Is that what you meant?
No, I don't want you to answer
No,
it
I
that
didn't
way.
think you meant that either. So you go ahead, Mr.
She
Gallo.
occasionally comes in contact with people.
Yes.
Do you sell services?
Yes.
Is there a product in connection with your services?
Yes.
I like the way she keeps looking at John.
Well, we're just trying not to mislead you. There is a
Yes.
product, but its relationship is indirect.
I see. Does your work take you from place to place?
In some instances.
Slightly. Do you deal with both men and women, whatever your service is? Does that
Yes.
apply to both men and women? I pass.
All right, Mr. Untermeyer.
Is your work advisory? Do you give advice, or is advice asked of you? You guide, counsel, befriend.
No.
I think you've messed that up sufficiently, so you can get a nice no answer. Now, 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Well, you sort of gave me a long, warm look when I said department store buyer. So I'm going to ask you if the products and the services that you deal with have anything to do with a department store.
Yes.
Do you buy as well as sell these products?
Well, now you're assuming something.
Oh,
Do you
I
want to
thought
make the
Dorothy
first
said
part of
she
the
sold.
question? No.
She deals with
Oh,
products.
deals. Do you? Thank you. Are you in some way a buyer for a department store? Or are you a buyer?
Yes.
I figured she didn't have anything to do with that department store. Got out of that in a hurry.
Now you have to tell us what
Are
you
these
buy.
products something that are used, something that you might put on?
Colloquially, yes.
Well, would it have anything to do with cosmetics? You're a cosmetic
Well, congratulations.
What do you mean,
Fennel.
sort of? It looks like she'd put them on.
Well,
What would you do with
colloquially, you talk
cosmetics?
about putting on cosmetics. I was afraid you would get into clothes if we didn't give you a reasonable answer on it. You did very well, and I hope you had some fun with us, and thanks for being our guest, Miss Matthews.
I still think she should be a public school teacher.
All right, now, before we meet our mystery guest for this evening, we have a message of interest for all our many viewers. And now we come to the regular special feature of our show, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. And because our experts over here would recognize our famous guest on sight, we've provided them with blindfolds for this special test in personality identification. So get the blinders on, panel. Now, in this particular case, it's not so much what's my line as who is it? A challenge once again to the ingenuity and the perceptive talents of our panel. Are all the blindfolds in place?
Right.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with the usual amenities and get right down to the general questioning, and so we'll begin that general questioning with Miss Francis.
Well, whoever this is, they must be in the entertainment world. Are you in the entertainment world?
Yes.
And it's a lady with a deep voice. Are you a performer in the entertainment world? I mean,
Yes.
an actress? Are you in pictures?
Yes.
Are you also in the theater?
No.
We don't want to be completely unfair. Our mystery celebrity has been in the theater, and I think in that context, and we won't give you a flat no. You go ahead, Miss Francis.
So that primarily, then, we say she is in pictures?
Yes.
Have you a penchant for comedy roles? Oh, no, sexy roles. I can tell. How about that?
Well, our mystery celebrity has said she has, so you go ahead, Miss Francis.
I pass.
You pass, Mr. Cerf.
Do you sing in any of these pictures that you make?
Yes.
Have you ever made any pictures in which you don't sing?
Yes.
Has your last picture been a picture in which you sang, or was it one in which you did not sing?
Which I did not.
That cannot be answered yes or no, Mr. Cerf. You must ask
Did
the
you
question
sing
to
in
be
your
answered
last
yes or no.
picture?
I beg your pardon?
Did you sing in your last picture?
No.
1 down and 9 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Are you blonde?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Untermeyer.
By a process of extreme elimination, are you a brunette?
Well, at this point, yes and no.
At this moment, looking at you as I am with blinders, you are a brunette. And looking at you in the same way, I presume you are glamorous. Yes. Don't bother to answer. You are glamorous. Have you been in the papers more or less recently?
I think so.
You have been in the papers more or less recently. Has a certain well-known singer made a trip to Spain in order to... Really?
Well, certainly not to see me.
What was that?
7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you wear your hair long?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Your last picture, you say, you did not sing. Were you the star of the picture?
Well, yes and no.
Well, that's a strange
And
answer.
this is becoming modesty. The answer
No.
to that should be
I'm
a
being
thundering yes.
I'm quite professional about it.
You mean your name was below the title of the picture rather than above it?
You're getting too technical, Mr. Cerf. You go ahead with the answer that you've got and go somewhere else.
Was the last picture you made a comedy?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you ever dance in motion pictures?
I have been known to.
Oh,
Not well.
gosh, I know that voice, and I'm in Pittsburgh. Have you appeared on television before?
Yes.
Would you like to pass,
I
Miss
pass,
Kilgallen?
yes.
Mr. Untermeyer.
Let's get down to this picture business. You have been in pictures recently, and your most recent picture was not a comedy.
No.
What? Was it The well-known, again by process of elimination, not a blonde comedy, but a brunette tragedy.
Very much, I would say.
Very much a tragedy. Well, let's have a conference now.
You may have
Very much a
15
tragedy.
seconds for a
What
conference.
recent, may I ask, was it a very great popular success? I don't like that.
I will answer yes. You go ahead, Mr. Untermeyer. 15 seconds
great,
for a conference.
Tragedy recently with a woman who was a star and who prefers not to call herself a great star.
Ruth Roman? That's sort of a
Ruth
good
Roman, no tragedy.
It could be.
Oh, it could be Glorious.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, of course it is.
Gloria Swanson.
First of all, I understand you're going to have your own radio program soon. Is that
Yes,
right?
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
very
we
excited
should all
about it.
watch for it. Now, before you go, Miss Swanson, we have something for you. That lovely Schiaparelli suit that you saw a moment ago is going to be presented to you by Schiaparelli and Jules Montaner Incorporated.
Oh, how very
Isn't that
nice.
lovely?
Oh, how exciting.
And I have one last word. I think that our folks should know, both at home and here in the theater, that you're going to leave Tuesday for a command performance before the King and Queen of England. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
Fine.
Oh,
Now, will you
how
get over there and
wonderful.
satisfy those people?
I knew the voice and I couldn't place it.
I knew if I said one thing to you, you'd understand.
And here's your bag, and thanks very much for being our guest on
Thank
What's
you.
My Line. Good night. All right, panel, we've got time, I think, for one more challenge, and let's see what you can do. Will you come in and sign in, please, sir? Edwin S. Lurie, is that right? Fine. Well, tell us, first of all, where you live, Mr. Lurie. New York City. Another New Yorker. Fine. Well, now, we don't have too much time left, so will you walk down in front of the panel so they can get a close look at you, please?
May I see that? May you see, Dorothy? Ollie, that
all right.
The
thing in his
insignia,
lapel,
your lapel.
the insignia, says what? American
What is it?
Legion.
American Legion.
American.
40 and 8.
Very
40 and
revealing.
8.
All right, Mr. Lurie, you come right back here.
Lie
Haven't got
down.
enough time for another look. You come over here and sit down next to me. Now, on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, and that quick look they had at you, we give the panel a wild guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the wild guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he runs a pari-mutual machine.
A very mutual. Mr. Untermeyer.
Mr. Lurie is a clown in a flea circus.
Miss Francis.
He's a diamond cutter.
A diamond cutter, Mr. Cerf.
With some hair-raising job, I would say trying out jet pilots.
No, I'm afraid you're all wrong, and now we'll let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mr. Lurie. Same time, panel, we shall tell them what his line is. You'll have to dig for facts. You know the rules. You ask questions in turn to be answered yes or no. Each no answer costs the panel $5, and we keep a record of the no answers up here. When you have lost 10 times, you have lost the game. Give you one more bit of help. Mr. Lurie is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Untermeyer.
All right, I'm going to take a wild chance. Mr. Lurie, is your work dangerous?
No.
1 down and 9 to go. We have less than 2 minutes to go. Miss Francis.
Is your work along the line of service?
Yes.
You do not deal in products, then?
No.
No. Do you work
That
in
got
one
you
place?
a no answer, but we won't let it count.
Yeah, I
because
was
don't
going to
think
go
you
over
were
it very
looking.
quickly on
Yes,
that
you
account.
go ahead. Yes, you
do you work in one place?
No.
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you work in the homes of your customers?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is what you service inanimate?
Yes.
Would it be likely that you would be requested to service this thing by men as well as women?
Yes.
And you go from place to place in order to do this?
Yes.
Do you touch what you service with your hands?
Yes.
Mr. Daly looks rather
Well, that's what
aghast
it's
at
a
that.
technicality which I'm sure you will not wish to kick my brains in for after the program is over. Go ahead, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you consider this work as something that would require a certain special ability?
Yes.
Everyone couldn't do this. I mean, yes, it's true that everyone couldn't do
No,
this.
everyone couldn't.
Miss Dorothy, we've got about 40 seconds
Well,
to
I'll
go.
pass to Mr. Untermeyer.
Mr.
then. Maybe
Untermeyer?
he's loaded with ideas.
Do you do anything like renovating or repairing or doing something over?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss
Do you
Francis.
use a large machine to do what you do?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr.
Have
Cerf.
you anything to do with entertainment of any sort?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
What you do is practical.
No.
I'd call it
Its end is
practical.
practical, yes. You have 15
Is what you
seconds.
perform upon a luxury?
No, not a luxury.
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Untermeyer.
Is it a necessity?
It might be considered a
It might be
necessity.
considered.
And I
It's
think that's
something
a
between-
good point to
something
leave it. By
between-
default, Mr. Lurie wins. He is a tea taster, panel.
Oh!
And thanks very much for being our guest on What's My Line, Mr. Lurie. Good night. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at a picture of one of the challengers whose line our panel will be asked to try and identify on our next program. This coming Sunday night here in New York, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this young lady. Would you know what her occupation is? Could you spot her line? Well, for the answer to this and other personality puzzles, be sure to tune in again when Stop It invites you to play What's My Line? And don't forget our new day and time, this coming Sunday and every Sunday from now on at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For other localities, check your newspaper for the date and the time of our new weekly series. And until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Louis.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett.
Good night, John.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Hello, I'm Fred Rogan.
Hi, and I'm Heidi Bohey. Join us for GSN Live.
Instant Winners Classic Shows. It's GSN Live. Weekdays starting at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.